So we stand, right? You breathe. Breath is life. Breath is everything. So you begin the day, right, by breathing all the way out after taking in some heavy breaths. But Qigong is the access to that cosmic background, right, that breathes silently. And so it prepares you to receive from that source. And that cosmic background is the substrate that contains the all, right? Is the all. Everything is, all potentiality resides in that space. So remember to stand. Remember your feet are important, right? So shoulder width, straight, right? Knees blocking your own view of your toes, right? North-south orientation. Alternate from north to south. Even between rounds, just flip around, turn around, right? So you're aligning yourself with the field of the earth. Qigong, they say, is accessing earth energy, right? But earth is, right, a manifestation of the entirety, just as we are a manifestation, right, of the entirety. It's a holofractal structure, right? The universe. So it's a self-repeating pattern, right? At no matter what scale, right? As above, so below. And we are at a fairly small scale, but everything is contained within us, within our bodies. And that's why I say the body is the bridge, right? It's not just your vehicle, right? It's actually the span, right? The thread that connects to source. And so that's what gives you, it tricks you into a meditative state by forcing you to go inside your body. So shoulder width, bend the knees, hands in front of your navel. Make your lumbar convex and your thoracic concave, the inverse of what they normally want to rest at, right? That S turn of your spine, right? You want to straighten it out. So you push out. And that's how you get in the horse stance without flexing your glutes, right? So it's like you're basically creating a column, right? Your spinal column. It's a column, right? And you're bathing your body in chi, right? Through the breath. So hands in front, breathe in through the stomach. And extend upward on the out breath. Like a string is pulling your head. We'll just do 18. So 3 breaths. Now hands in front of the heart, right? Bow-shaped arms. Your body is supple, right? It's not tense. You're hanging on, but loosely. So now hands above, in front of your third eye, still the bow shaped, right? It's like you're getting ready to catch a bag of flour thrown from the truck, right? Like in Somalia. No gunmen allowed. You're open to receive. The immaculate reception. Tarkington. Your hands go out in front like Iron Man, right? You're blasting energy out of your palms. Do a couple more breaths on the out breath, right? Breathe out slowly and extend your spine upward. Straighten it on the out breath, right? So this is that, right? You will get that. You will feel it. It's actually doesn't take 30 years. This is where you let go. And you'll notice when you do that, your face gets serene, right? And that's the face you want while you're doing this, right? Not a stern face, not a frown, right? Because that indicates you're thinking. And also when you'll stop blinking, right? And when you're blinking shows a fluttering mind, right? And so when you realize that you've stopped blinking, right? Don't measure it. Don't be like, I'm doing it, right? Because then you'll fall out. You'll turn off the switch, right? But it's that you can be fully present. I can't stress enough, right? That it's an individual process, right? You will discover it on your own. I'm not saying, again, this is not a system that will guarantee you, right, your salvation or whatever. I have to block this reflection. Hello. So, did you read the title? So, like, what's coming out, what will come out, I don't know, right? But I have the intention, right? The acausal intent to achieve the objective, right? And that's retrocausality, and that's being and not becoming, right? That's not an if-then statement, right? That's causality. If then this, that, then if this, then that, right? Like in basic, like in all fucking programming, right? It all comes from basic, man. And you know, even Unix is the same. Whatever language, it's all fucking like AutoCAD. You know, AutoCAD is a deep program, right? But it still has all its memory of its origins, right, from the 70s. So yeah, causality and retrocausality, right? Becoming is causality, right? And that is a dead end, right? A circular approach, right? Riding the furrow in the rut, going round and round and starting again from the beginning, which is revolution, right? We forget the fucking meanings of words, right? We need a revolution. You say you want a revolution, well, you know, it's just a motherfucking circle, right? We don't want to revolve. And we are already fully evolved, right? Everything is here. Everything that we require, right, is already here, right? And that's that retrocausality. We are being, not becoming, right? There's nothing to be done. There's no steps to be taken in order to fix this bullshit that we're fucking putting up with, right? And to become fucking well adjusted to this bullshit is what all the camps are telling us to do, right? And that's to try to fix the system with the system, right? Is become well adjusted, and then you'll be more effective in taking action towards a positive, you know, the highest good for all, right? And no, you'll just be in the system, turning the wheel one more ratchet again, you know? And so the only thing that is required, right, is to recognize ever-present origin, right? That everything is as it should be, and we just be that, right? And that is flow state. That is being in the zone, right? You're not there when you're in the zone. And as Krishnamurti says, right, when your sense of psychological self is, then God is not, right? Then it's you, right? And that's that circular pattern. When you are not, then God is, right? So you open the space, you permit the space for divine inspiration. And so it's, you don't become nothing, because what are we? We're human beings. We do stuff, we make things, right? We're creative, right? It's not to become nothing and do nothing, right? It's actually to take yourself out of the equation and permit what was always intended to be, right? And that's how, when you approach something, right, that your mind wants to tell you is difficult, right, that is impossible, perhaps. For example, this intention, right, this acausal intent that I have, right? People would think I'm fucking crazy or naive or, you know, or silly, or who do you think you are, right? Who do you think you are? And it's like, I am everything, right? And nothing at once. That's why the impossible becomes possible, right? And all of us, right? We have that in us, right? And so we don't become, right? It's that, then, this, if, retrocausality, ever-present origin, what was always meant to be is. And that's how you approach something. Like, for example, when I was a little kid, I'd never water skied before, but I got up on the first try, right? Because I could be that instead of becoming better at it through practice, right? Yeah, hours in are fucking great, fine, but all it does is trick your mind into being instead of fucking becoming. And the big fucking lie is that we have to spend 30 years learning to fucking meditate in order to become enlightened. And that's not necessary. Fucking, it's a switch, man. Instantaneous. It's already there. We are already that. So there's nothing to be done. And so that's why this argument about taking care of yourself, right? And these words are triggering towards a whole fucking tangent about what boundaries are, right? Yes, you need to have boundaries, right? And you need to be clear. But this, I'll just talk about them again because, right, Jordan Peterson with the clean your room fucking thing, right? This is the epitome of controlled opposition, despite his severe opposition, right? Apparent opposition to the left, right? The woke fucking thinking, the woke beliefs, right? And his brilliant exposition, right? It still fixed the system with the system, which is his clean your room, right? So it's the same thing, right? And we can't, right? We cannot fix the system with the system. So instead of clean your room, right? It's clean your fucking mind. Clean your mind, right? And that permits the space for the new to enter, right? The what is not referencing the past, right? When you try to bring a new product to market, previously to when it's still just a concept and you're trying to sell it or whatever, they want fucking track record, right? To show that there's a possibility that it will be successful. And it's like, this is brand fucking new, man. This is brand new. Referencing the past is only going to repeat the past, right? You'll get another product that's just like everything fucking else, right? And produced, with the means of production that is based on waste. It's like, you just want me to go into this? I will, right? This is what I've been wanting to talk about, which is the infrastructure that is required to have the natural exchange, right? We are human beings. We exchange value with others. That's how we live, the exchange, right? Removing your protection of your psychological self, right? The no longer referencing the self-reference, right? Is the right, it's no longer, it's not self-reference, and so it's like outside of the pattern that we are already doing, right? But what I'm saying is that removal of self-reference doesn't make you not be who you are, right? Because we are here. This is our fucking gift, is to embellish the creation, right? This is what all the myths talk about, right? And so we're not here to do it how we're doing. And when I'm criticizing it, the knee-jerk reaction, right, is to say you're complaining, right, because your life isn't good, right? Make your life good, and it's a exponentially growing pool of value that people create through living. And so there's not a limited supply, right? And so trying to fix the system with the system is maintaining the that model of value, which is that it's more valuable when there's a diminishing supply with high demand, right? People living add to the supply, and it's always growing. So if a supply of value is always growing, then how do you fucking raise the price on it, right? This is what we've been tricked into, right? Into operating with this system. And then, just become well adjusted, right? Whether you have a good life or a shitty life, you're still just turning that wheel. And so this is what I keep saying. But all right, the infrastructure that is required, right, is to come from the standpoint that value is always increasing and that we live by exchanging with each other. That's what human beings do. And so to acknowledge that, right, and to permit the absolute maximum amount of participation, right, only fucking only increases the supply. Okay, so you come at it from that perspective, that the supply is fucking always increasing, right, of value, because people living creates value. Money doesn't have value, right? It's just a medium of exchange. It is the people that create value, right? It is living that creates value. So you facilitate living. You facilitate living, and you have a spike in the creation of value. And then if we have an unlimited supply, then who shall want, right? Who shall want? So yeah, the idea is not to abandon our collected knowledge, right? Because our technical ability is usable, right? Because we exchange, right? This is how we live, by creating. Now let's create in a way that's in alignment with the natural laws. And I know that shit triggers you guys, right? When I say natural law, right? So, but we're living in an artificial construct, right, which is corrupted, and it's not the only option. So, it doesn't matter what camp you're in, everyone believes that, right? This is the core, this is the root problem, right? The root problem is that everyone believes that that value is created through a limited supply and high demand, right? Right? Everyone believes this. Doesn't matter what fucking camp you're in, but that is to act like that's the only way, and that's some kind of an organic thing, right? It has to be maintained constantly, right? That fucking idea, right? And we're bombarded every second of every day. Doesn't matter what fucking culture you're living in, right? Everyone has that same conception. And so it's this deeply rooted fucking conception of what value is, right? That everyone has in common. It doesn't matter what side you're on. So we see JP fucking slaying the lefties with his fucking brilliant fucking monologues, right? But he believes the same thing, and it all comes out when he says clean your room, right? Which is become well adjusted and then try to be creative inside the system that you've now become well adjusted to, which just perpetuates the system, right? So dumb motherfucker. Everyone, all the fucking brilliant people that have a large following, don't get it. They don't fucking get it. And I'm here to tell you, right, that the alternative is the sacred exchange, right, which is that value is increasing all the time, right? And if we facilitate that and permit maximum contribution from every fucking individual, then we return to the sacred exchange. So how do we start? Right? Fighting against it, right? This moral high ground that seems unassailable, right? That's a mistake, right? So that's having your thinking done for you. That's having your thinking done for you. And so if you're in that position that no matter what, I'm doing the right thing because I'm against fucking evil, right? Right, that's inferior virtue, and it is just the polar relationship of the false construct that we live in, which just turns the wheel, right? So we extricate ourselves from that, right? And we create a new fucking exchange. So how do we start? How do we fucking start? First is that to realize, right, that core belief, that root problem in our thinking is the initial conditions that creates the pattern on aggregate that is exhibited by civilization, right? It is the initial conditions. It runs like a fucking the equation of a fractal, right? And if you begin with this, right, and you get an output and then you put it back in, you get this emanation of complexity, which is civilization, but it has a pattern, right? And it repeats itself. And there's a limit to that pattern, right? Because there's a point at which it's no longer tenable to be living in this adversarial mind mode of operation, right? Which comes from the scarcity model of value, right? Which is that there is a limited supply, and so you better get yours before someone else gets it, right? Which is competitive. And so it's not our nature, right? It's not our nature to act that way. It's a falseness, right? It is the matrix. It is assembled in our mind. The matrix is not some fucking program that was written that we were inserted into, right? The matrix is in here because, right? what is believed on aggregate is the general mode of operation in society, which creates the pattern, right? So people can believe something, which is this scarcity model of value, right? Everyone, every fucking camp, every culture has this as the initial conditions, right? And so whatever you're resisting, you're still driving from that position. So it reaches the point at which there's a limit. And I say that's when the Ouroboros eats it. It runs out of tail, right? And you go to the singularity. And the singularity is fucking not when AI becomes self-aware, right? The singularity is that point at which it's do or die for us, right? Either to fucking pull ourselves out or self-destruct, or get put into an automated system that keeps us in a form of stasis for all time, right? Which is obviously, if you guys are following this shit and you have any eyes at all, you can see that that's the agenda, right? So yeah, digital currency, all that shit, social credit system, right? It's an automation, right? It automates the system so that it doesn't require this constant reinforcement. You're either in it or you're fucking out, right? Right? If you're not a model citizen, you don't get to participate. You can't. Your credits are no good here, son, right? So I think I've explained, right, that the system if you're within the system trying to fix it, then you're just perpetuating the system, and it's virtue signaling, right? It's just acting like something is happening, and it's not. So we begin with the idea that value is unlimited, right? And so we create a access to the value, right? And because our bodies are living, right, and require certain elements in order to survive, in order to continue to live, right, it begins with that value, right? So we offer that value, and as a beginning, the seed for this, right? But it requires all y'all. Okay, it requires you guys to make this psychological transformation. Otherwise, you will just think that what I'm saying is just another opinion. I'm not taking a position, right? If you're gonna oppose me with some kind of argument, right, then you're not fucking opposing me, right? You're just doing the same old shit. This ain't an opinion, right? This is truth, right? So I'm not trying to defend a fucking position, right? I'm not fucking against anything. I'm for us, right? I'm for humanity. And that's a non-polar position. So whatever you do, right? I'm on the fulcrum. That's when you're riding the fulcrum, there's no fucking rhythm, right? That's the irony, right, of being a conscious, sentient being, right? Is that you avoid that false rhythm, right? Of actually identifying, right? Which creates this false rhythm. You identify with something, and then the principle of rhythm will fucking cycle you to the inferior, right? And then it'll just be like that, a pendulum swing, superior, inferior, superior, inferior, and it just turns the wheel, right? Because a sine wave is just showing circular motion over time, right? It's just a circle. Anyway, so I end up always fucking repeating myself. But what we need to get at, right, is this non-polar positioning, right, which is operating from the position of love, right? Love has no polarity, right? There's no sides. There's only us. And so that's the psychological transformation, right? Which is to stop trying to preserve your sense of self, your identity, right? And in order to do that is required in order for this new infrastructure to begin to unfold, right? From the initial conditions of love as opposed to the initial conditions of adversary, right, of competition, right? It's the initial conditions of cooperation. That's what begins it, right? That if you're okay, I'm okay, right? And it sounds like a cliche. You've heard this all before, right? But if everyone around you is doing well, then you are also doing well, right? If you are fucking hoarding the resources and building bunkers and fences, right, then that's an adversarial mode, right? And that just leads to the same thing again. And it makes me think of, all these billionaires are building bunkers across the West, buying ranches and fucking box canyon fucking places in order to build their defensible position, right? But if the shit does hit the fan, and I don't think it will, the way that they like try to, it's like a constant threat that actually only is partially happening all the time, but never fully happening, right? But anyway, as a thought experiment, like these billionaires, they have a security team, right, that they would hire in order to, patrol the perimeter, right, and all of that shit. But I would at the point at which money becomes not valuable, right, in an apocalyptic kind of situation, right, then it is the needs that are valuable, right, the needs for survival. At which point money becomes not valuable, then how do the billionaires keep their security forces from turning on them? And they can't. They haven't solved that fucking problem, and they haven't even considered the eventuality. If you ask me, the billionaires are the dumbest motherfuckers walking, right? Musk, buying Twitter like he's gonna like help fucking more fixing the system with the system. He's a lifetime actor, man. He just like JP. All of these motherfuckers are propped up to create the false sense of fucking actually something happening, right? Something to be against, right? Like here in New Mexico, we have this fucking douchebag running for governor, and all the people on the left are terrified because this dude he's a piece of work, right? And so it's like, oh, now I know what to fucking be against, right? Now I have a unassailable moral position, right? Okay, so, but that's it though, right? So offering the value, right? Offering the value, and so I want to talk about like there's a what, right? How we do it, we don't know, right? Because we permit it to be organic, right? But if it begins from those initial conditions, right, of this fulcrum operation, right, of no positioning, right, of not identifying, right, not clinging to any identity, right, letting go of your psychological sense of self, then, right, these initial conditions on aggregate, right, as we operate, as we relate to each other, as we interact with each other, as we exchange with each other, right, creates a pattern that is non-cyclical, right, that actually moves forward instead of repeating itself, right, in this artificial rhythm. And again, I advise you to listen to my self-reference episode where I talk about this, the self-playing video game, the game of life that was invented in the 70s. And it's like, if you just set up the initial conditions and these little pixels that are like entities in this little world have a set of rules that they operate by, right? And they're fixed, right? And so whatever happens, right, creates the pattern that emanates, right? And there is certain configurations where there is a continuation and growth, right? And there's most of the configurations are self-destructive, right? And some of them are static. They just create a static loop where it just goes back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, right? So we need to achieve that, the one that the initial conditions that permit us to move forward, right, into new territory, right? So I have a vision of how that's possible. So get with it, right? Get with me. Fucking help me out, right? Either talk to me, try to comprehend what it is that I'm after. Because if I start saying it right now, I could, right? That's how I was going to talk about this shit. I was going to talk about catastrophe theory, you guys, which is right, a topological model, right? It's qualitative math as opposed to quantitative math, right? And this is how you model things in nature. It was all the rage in the 70s. I did my fucking ninth grade science project on it. So I've been about this forever. But this measurement of quality, right, is how we, this is the, we write the program, right, for the interaction, right, which, because we'll need the help, right, of our tools in order to manage the exchange, right? Just like we do now, except not corrupt. So a topological model, right, which permits real-time fucking user feedback, right? That, and so we're talking now. I'm going to jump to production right away, right? The means of production, right? So right now, like I was saying, corporations manufacture and they sell a third of their inventory. They make a profit, right? And the rest of that shit is wasted, right? And the material is wasted. So the idea is that everyone contributing drives the creation of the new, of the novel, right? Of new products, new everything, right? But it's easy to think about in terms of products, right? In things that we make, things that are useful. So the users fucking drive the potential of a product going into production, right? And so it never goes into production until it's already sold out, right? And so every production run fucking is sold out before it even goes into production, right? Because everyone is following this product and contributing in a way that makes it to be the best product possible, right? No tiered products. Every product is the best product possible. And we do that by having user interaction with the process, right? Is this starting to make sense? And so the cusp catastrophe in catastrophe theory is the topological model that has a fold in the surface, right? And the math is you project that fold onto the bottom surface, which creates a cusp, which is a shape like this, right? And so the movement of a product from concept to fucking full production, right, goes across this upper surface, right, but is projected onto the flat surface. So it's a 3D operation, right? But it's understandable by projecting it onto a 2D surface, right? And what you'll find is that products, right, the tipping point from Malcolm Gladwell was about this, right? If you've read The Tipping Point, it's like, how does a product go from a concept to being a household name, right? And there's a certain level of followership of that product, at which point it just fucking becomes the product in that sector, right? In that space, right? The tipping point. So you reach the tipping point for a product before it ever goes into production, right? And you do that through participation, and everyone can fucking it's almost like an interface for living, right? An interface for living. So take that, you guys. Much love. I think this is the most live viewers I've ever had at once. Thanks for being here, Flight Risk. When are we going to talk on the phone? Oh my God. Fuck you, you fucking bitches. Getting a porn promotion, right, in the comments. That's so gay. So fucking gay. Sorry, right? Using words that trigger. So sorry, yeah. Just trying to get rid of these worthless fucking people, right? This is what I'm talking about. This is the problem right here. So yeah, much love, you guys. So topological fucking algorithm, right, to run the sacred exchange, right? And it's only possible if the participants have made this psychological transformation, right? And so the idea is that this interface that I want to create is that we could just live, right, by like the exchange is right there all in one place, but it's not owned by anyone, right? Everyone, by participating, makes it happen, right? And everyone gets the benefits of the exchange, right? And so it just facilitates the exchange, right? Which is how we live. And so it creates a value well that is so valuable that that it will attract, right? Like gravity, right? And the initial conditions are operating from the position of non-polarity, of non-duality, right? Right. But you create the way for people to interact, right? It's a what, right? So there's a what in here, right? And in here. And so we put it into position, right? And it creates a well of value that can only attract people, right? And the value attracts, but then once they arrive, right, then people become what they behold. People become what they see, right? And so you offer that vision of what, like, know thyself, right? Which is that there is no division, right? There is no separation. And that any fucking attempt to divide or separate is the old model, right? And it doesn't matter if that's a spiritual thing, like quote fucking spiritual bypassing, right? Which is that you're on this individual journey, right? No, we're all in this together. And the purpose is to fix this place so that it was as it was always intended to be. So yeah, so the relationship, right? The interaction, right? Between, like, we create the value well, people become what they see, and the interaction is based on that non-dual aspect, right? The initial conditions. So chew that for a while. I'll be back, and I want to fucking team up, right? So if any of you guys fucking hear this shit and become aware that there's something here, you know, right? If you have the fertile ground, if you've made that space, right, then this can enter and it'll actually mean something instead of it just being, oh, look, another opinion. And also, so we need to turn, right, these people who are well adjusted, like really well adjusted to this fucking corrupt system, right? We need them. We fucking need everyone. And so if y'all are out there and you happen to fucking see this or share it with someone whom, right, who's the most well adjusted? Who's the most well adjusted? How do you define that, right? If you know anyone like that, right, point them this direction. And if anyone wants to have a debate with me, bring it. Fucking bring it. I will debate JP. I'm not, Jordan Peterson. I'll go on Rogan, right? I'll fucking kill it on Rogan, right? I'll crush that motherfucker's fucking sensibilities. I'll shut him down. But he's terrified, right? He doesn't want it. He doesn't want it. But man up, right? You want to go head toe to toe for reals, right? Right? Instead of just fucking busting platitudes and patting yourself on the back. All right, bring it. Bring it. Tell your fucking friends. This is ready to blow up, right? This is ready to blow up. So get in. Get in. Reporting another bullshit message. All right. Love you guys. Till next time. Oh, I like to say stay tuned, right? So doing the Qigong is how you tune your body, right? Bathing your fucking body in Qi, right? Which is the energy of the cosmos, right? Comes from that cosmic background, the source, which is the female aspect or the Holy Spirit, right? The male aspect comes in fucking instantaneously after the female, right? In order to create that reference point that permits the unfolding of the entirety, right? And that's so as above, so below. We can operate along on those in that rhythm, right? The natural rhythm, instead of this bullshit. And so we don't resist it. We actually look away. The Lisa Simpson fucking technique. Just don't look, man. Just don't look at that shit and fucking start building something creative. And I'm right here. I'm right here. I got you. Right? I'll fucking give you feedback. All right, you guys. Watch this whole thing. If you just came on, as soon as I end it, it'll end up being on there. Start from the beginning. Do the Qigong to open a space in your mind to be receptive, right? Take off your fucking blinders. Take off your polarized lenses that only lets in what you want to believe, right? Belief is opinion, right? Knowing, right? Knowing is what we need. So, again, the long sign off. Love you guys. Stay tuned.